Welcome back to the Broad Podcaster with me, Jennifer Fierro, here in the Highland Lakes, joined once more with Art Dlugach, the voice of the Llano Yellow Jackets. We have already covered all three of our 11-man football teams. Llano was in the first segment. Burning and Marble Falls were in segment 2. And in this segment, we are going to talk about the Faith Academy Flames. And if we have some time, maybe we'll do a little Big 12 report. I'm curious to hear your thoughts about what happened. Or if you want, you can give us a report on what you saw in Wisconsin while you were gone.
I can do that.
Okay, all right. Let's go ahead and talk about the Flames real quick. And that's because they had a big win at home. They played Temple Holy Trinity, beat them 119-70. Faith Academy set a new program record for the most points scored in a single game. They broke that. They scored 119. The old record was 106 points scored against Holy Trinity 3 years ago.
Faith scored 119?
119.
My gracious. And they never did a 45-point rule them?
Well, they did finally early in the fourth quarter.
Gracious.
So, Cross Sanchez, the outstanding junior, who I think will be the player of the year in that district, had 11 rushing touchdowns and threw one passing touchdown. There's a belief that he may have set a single-game record for touchdowns. And I don't know if that's in rushing or if that's combined rushing and passing.
Those are just 10-minute quarters.
Yes.
Woo!
Yes. So that was something else there. Faith Academy is going to be hosting Conroe Covenant at 6 o'clock on Friday night at home at Britton Field. Conroe Covenant and Faith have played each other a handful of times over the years. I had heard that Conroe Covenant are really going before week 11. Covenant had said that they only wanted to play on a Saturday. If they had to play Faith, they wanted to come in on Saturday. Well, something changed between what I was told, 13 days, 10 days ago to what transpired, because they're going to play on Friday night. I'm thrilled about that because I love playoff football. Well, I love sports regardless, and especially you get to watch a game in person. But I am curious to see, because it does sound like Conroe Covenant is coming into Marble Falls with a very confident swag about them. I'm curious to see what they can do against these Faith Flames.
Well, they better put their mind to holding Faith at least less than 119 points. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, well, there's no doubt. We said this in last week's podcast, but I will say it again. I cannot give Stephen Shipley, Jay Silvers, the coaches of that program at Faith Academy, nor can I give the Faith Flames players themselves more credit, so much credit for riding the ship after the pre-district when they had suffered some losses that were really unexpected losses. They never saw losing to Austin St. Stephen's in week 1. Never saw losing to Smoking for Jesus after that. They righted the ship, and that's why they were able to go undefeated in this district and get another undefeated district championship. And you and I know firsthand how hard that is to do.
Really turning the tables, as we kept on thinking in the late summer that this was the so-called rebuilding year for the Flames. And to win district unbeaten, that's just outstanding. And congratulations to Coach Shipley.
Yes, I agree. Okay, before I forget, go to TexasChalkTalk.com for all your Highland Lake sports news. I have more on all of these games there. Of course, when we do the write-ups, we'll put them on Texas Chalk Talk. Art, I'm going to turn this over to you if you're ready to give us a report on your trip to Wisconsin.
I was playing around with my phone here to try to make sure that I had the final score correct. I'm pretty sure it was 23-13. Wisconsin prevailed over Maryland. My grandson, who just turned 20, is a sophomore at Wisconsin and is not a sports fan. And this was his first sports event. Didn't go to any as a freshman, but he was a very good sport at attending the game with two people who are sports fans, his dad and myself. And it was one terrible day for football. I'll guarantee you, it was cold and rainy. And at Camp Randall Stadium, a beauty, holds about 80,000, and I'd say about 30,000 showed how smart they were by staying home and watching the game on TV. But Wisconsin won, and it was just a lot of fun to be there. The first Big Ten game I've ever seen. I've seen Big Ten teams play once or twice, but never against each other. So it was a real nice, fast trip, and we had a great time. But we did decide, my son-in-law, John, and I, that when we go back, and we will in the next 2 years or whatever, we'll see a good Wisconsin basketball team play, because they play basketball indoors. And that will be a lot easier on an old man like myself. So it just was a fine trip. Ate at several international restaurants that we enjoyed. And it was great being with Jack, my grandson, and John's son. And it was certainly worth it, even though the rain and the cold was bothersome, to say the least. We got through it, and it was fun to be there, for sure.
Yeah, you got it right. 23-10, Wisconsin over Maryland. You have attended several college football games over the years, different venues all over the place. I hate to ask you your impressions of the atmosphere, because you said that there weren't that many fans in attendance because of the weather. So I would hate to ask you to compare the Big Ten atmosphere to what you see in the Big 12.
Well, I will say it did not seem a real excited crowd, but of course they were missing quite a few people, as I mentioned. But when Wisconsin would do something well, they cheered like anybody else would. But it wasn't as if they were playing Ohio State or someone like that, or playing for the Big Ten championship, or trying to get into the Big Ten championship game. So in that regard, it seemed a bit milder. And with that many people not filling those seats, that made it seem like a quieter crowd also. The quarterback for Maryland is Tua Tagovailoa's brother. So it was good to see him. He did not have a good day. Again, passing was so difficult. And we left with 2 or 3 minutes to go in the game, and he had only completed like 5 or 6 passes. Then I think he got a few more in their last drive or something. But Wisconsin had it pretty much wrapped up by then.
Well, let me ask you this. What were your impressions of that college town where the University of Wisconsin resides? Is it like Waco? Is it more like Austin? Do you have an opinion on that part of it?
It is different from almost any college town I think you're ever going to see. I haven't seen them all. But the campus is spread out with big buildings all along one avenue.
Wow.
You don't see a whole lot of lawns, or you're not going to be walking across campus and seeing a lot of green as you're staring from one building to another. It doesn't work that way. But Jack just loves it. So that's the main thing. And it was different from most campuses I think you would see.
Okay, all right. We have just about a couple minutes here. Do you want to close this out, or do you want to give any thoughts on the Big 12? You ready to call it a day?
Well, we don't get into gambling too much, but the fact that Texas, as of today, Tuesday afternoon, is a 7-point favorite over unbeaten and 4th-ranked TCU amazes me. But you know what? Those odds makers love the home team, and Texas is hosting on Saturday, so I think that's a few points of the 7 right there. And boy, that's just going to be that's the game of the year. It changes every week, but as of now, it's the game of the year. That is Saturday night, and I think whether you're a Texas fan or not, that'll be a great one to watch. Bijan Robinson, who ran for more than 200 yards last week, I think he'll be tough on TCU, and it'll be very important for Texas to stop the great TCU quarterback, Max Duggan. And we'll see if they're able to do that. You know that TCU has rallied in 4 of its last 6 games in the second half to win those games and stay unbeaten.
Yeah, and I will say this, that is Texas's Achilles heel.
Well,
They build a big lead in the first half, and then they either have to hang on for dear life in the second half for a win, or they give up that big lead and end up losing.
and also, I'll just interrupt it before I forget that it's game day in Austin.
Sure.
So that's an exciting aspect of the afternoon and evening also.
For Texas, this game does not make or break the season. You lose to TCU, there's still a path to the Big 12 championship game, but you cannot lose at Kansas or against Baylor. And everything, in my opinion, because I believe win or lose, TCU will be in the Big 12 championship game, but I think TCU has more to lose because I expect on Tuesday night that TCU will be in the top 4 of the college football playoff bracket. And I think that if TCU can run the table and stay undefeated, they will be the only Big 12 team to have represented the Big 12 in the college football playoff has been Oklahoma.
Yes.
So TCU would break that. But we will see. Like I said, this game means much more to TCU because I think they have bigger aspirations than it does to Texas. If Texas loses in Austin, if they can win out, I believe they will play TCU for the Big 12 championship on a neutral site in early December.
Right now, TCU with Sonny Dykes as the head coach in line as possible National Coach of the Year, and Max Duggan is a possible. He's not going to win the Heisman, but it is possible that he will win some accolades at the end of the year, and so will Bijan Robinson. But going into this game, TCU has a 2-game lead in the conference over 3 or 4 teams who are 6-3.
Yeah. Okay, that's all we have for this week. Enjoy the games, everyone. Make sure for all your Highland Lake sports news, you go to TexasChalkTalk.com, and please make sure you like, subscribe, and share the channel.